just as beautiful was seeing Michael Irvin in Colorado this past weekend. I grabbed my man Shannon Sharp. We went to the game, Colorado versus Nebraska in Boulder, Colorado. Michael Irvin was there right on the sideline. It was great seeing him there. It was great hanging out there with my man Shannon Sharp. You can see the video right there. We both got off the private jets, you know. It's rare. Can't afford it all the time. Can't afford it all the time. But that one day I could. It was nice. We went to the game together, was hanging out, and Shannon was there. Michael Irvin was there. We all went there to see him prime. Amari Hardwick was there, actor from Power on Stars, a movie actor as well. Phenomenal person. You see me there with Coach Prime, who invited me and took care of me and had arrangements, had me sitting in the suite. Me, Shannon, and everybody else. Chauncey Billups, the head coach with the Portland Trail Blazers in the NBA, he was there. Cameron, who's got his own podcast doing big things, he was there. It was good to see everybody. But you know something? We were all there for Prime. We weren't there for Colorado. We weren't even there for Deion Sanders. We were there for prime time. Deion Sanders, the greatest cornerback in the history of the National Football League. All right? And I got to tell you something. It meant the world to him, but it meant the world to all of us to be there for him. And you know, if you're wondering how it hits us and how we reach these conclusions, how we come to these conclusions of feeling the way that we feel about certain people, let's just compartmentalize and talk about primetime Deion Sanders for a second. We're talking about a man that starred at Florida State, but when interviewed a few weeks ago and they were talking about his alma mater, he said, that ain't my alma mater. I come from an HBCU. We know he coached at Jackson State. We know HBCUs is what ultimately assisted him in getting his degree. We know coaches at Alabama State and others all played a role in assisting him ultimately capturing, getting that degree and being able to coach football. HBCUs opened doors for primetime Deion Sanders, and I've been on the record saying he's given more than his share back in droves, actually, to HBCUs. You can't measure what he's done for HBCUs. But with all of that being said, even though that's clearly a reason to root for him, let's go a step further here. I want you to look at this sound. Look and listen to this footage. Ryan Clark, my brother, my colleague on ESPN's First Take. He's also hosting the new host of Inside the NFL. He's on Monday Night NFL Countdown. He's obviously a contributor to SportsCenter, Get Up, and other shows on ESPN, a phenomenal football analyst who also has his own podcast, a very popular podcast called The Pivot with his boys, Channing Tatum and Fred Taylor. Listen to this.
It's just that Deion does it his way. It's not just that it's different. It's that for so long, if we wanted that job, we had to be like them. Being uniquely and authentically African American, they don't want that. And it's not that they don't want it because they believe it's bad. They just don't know enough about it. You can't come up here dancing like Lou Young and win, right? You're not gonna tell us what you're gonna do and then do it. That's not what coaches do, but it's what Prime does. He ain't gotta prove nothing to nobody. You're actually hiring Prime, right? That's not how it normally works. Like some dude who worked up from a GA and a quality control guy, he can't go act like Prime and coach, right? Because they're gonna be ready to get him out of there.
Ryan Clark's absolutely right, except for one thing in my estimation, when he said that they don't understand. Folks who don't understand, that's not the problem with folks like Deion Sanders and other African Americans who deserve these opportunities, is that they don't want to understand because they're comfortable communicating with the people that are like-minded, who look like them, who share their authenticity, their ethnicity, their culture, et cetera, et cetera. We know what time it is. And prime time is opening doors, and it's making people very, very uncomfortable. By the way, I don't know why the hell I said Channing Tatum. I was just watching Magic Mike or something the other day, or whatever, one of them damn movies. I was talking about Ryan Clark and Fred Taylor's co-host on The Pivot, Channing Crowder. My apologies. I appreciate y'all, my producers looking out for me. I meant Channing Crowder. I apologize, Channing. But back to RC, that's what he's talking about. And so understand that with RC, he's making a point, but in reality, what it really, really comes down to is that it's not a lack of understanding. It's an unwillingness to understand because you don't want to ingratiate yourself with people you don't want a part of your situation to begin with. And that's the battles that we have to overcome. But let me tell you what Prime is doing. Nobody's going to out-recruit Prime. And his football knowledge is not to be denied. And so if he can recruit, and he's talking about young men, because that's the sound that I really wanted y'all to hear when he was talking on the pivot, and he talked about what he's doing when he's coaching these young kids and what he's trying to accomplish. That's what it's really, really all about with Primetime. And that's why any parent is going to be comfortable with sending their child there. Prime is going to win. Enjoy him while you can, Colorado. Because let me tell you something right now. If somebody was smart, particularly in the SEC, whether that would be Florida, whether that would be LSU or somebody, not to throw Brian Kelly out with the bathwater, but that was a bad loss to Florida State the other day. But the bottom line is, when you're going up against Nick Saban, when you're going up against Kirby Smart, you got to recruit. And that's what the hell Prime can do. Imagine if he becomes a part of one of those big-time programs. Lord have mercy. Lord have mercy.